All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to 5 Minutes of Math. And this is the homework for the evening of January 25th, 2018. And with these problems, we're practicing the rule that says in an inequality, when we multiply or divide both sides by a negative number, we have to reverse the sign. And that's a big difference between an inequality and solving a regular old equation. So in our example right here, we've got negative 3x is less than 10. And to solve that, we divide by negative 3 like we normally would with an equation, but we change that sign from less than to greater than. So x is greater than negative 3.33. In the second example, we have x divided by negative 2 is greater than 5. And when we start to work on solving that, even though we're doing division right here, and we're going to multiply instead of dividing to solve it, you still have to reverse the sign. So negative 2 times x over negative 2 is greater than 5 times negative 2 becomes x is less than negative 10. So we go from x divided by negative 2 is greater than 5 to the solution being x is less than negative 10. So just make sure that you reverse that sign. So let's take a closer look at that. Alright, so negative 1 is less than or equal to x divided by negative 10 minus 6. That's where we start our problem. And when you are writing these down, make sure you pay attention to those signs because that makes a big difference. So our first step is going to be to add 6 to both sides. We're going to combine our like terms by adding 6. So that becomes 5 is less than or equal to x divided by negative 10. Now here comes the good part. This is where we have to multiply both sides by negative 10. And right here, with the multiplication property of inequality, that's where we have to reverse the sign. So that becomes negative 50 is greater than x. And if I turn it around so I can graph it, it's x is less than 50. All right, so remember, the parts that are green are the same. They're the same inequality. And the green parts, we haven't reversed the sign. Right here, we have our graph closed dot at 50 shaded all the way over to the left because x is less than 50. Okay, so going on to the next one, we have negative 3x minus 11 is greater than or equal to 34. So the first thing we're going to do is combine our like terms. This is the addition property of inequality. We're going to add 11 to both sides. All right, so we have negative 3x is greater than 45. Right here we divide by negative 3, and this is again the division property of inequality. Same thing. When we divide by a negative number, we have to reverse the sign. All right, when we divide by a negative number, we have to reverse the sign. So it becomes x is less than or equal to negative 15. All right, and if we graph this, we have a closed dot at negative 15 shaded all the way over to the left. All right, so these are your two graphs right here, and we're going on to number 24. The problem here is negative 20 is greater than negative 2x plus 4. And we're going to go ahead and move on. What we're going to do here is reverse this equation so that our x is on the left hand side because it's just easier to graph. This is the same equation. I haven't reversed the sign. The 20 is still the bigger value. So negative 2x plus 4 is less than negative 20. We're going to subtract 4 from both sides. That's the subtraction property of inequality. And we have negative 2x is less than negative 24. Now, we're going to use the division property of inequality. And since we're dividing by negative 2, of course, we have to flip that sign around. So that becomes x is greater than positive 12. Remember, again, that when you divide a negative number by another negative number, you come out with a positive number. So there's a lot of little rules to remember here. And don't let those little rules trick you into making a big mistake on this. Okay, and that's why practice is so important. So since we have x is greater than 12, open dot on 12, shaded all the way over to the right. Okay, now the other problem here is 143 is less than or equal to negative 12x minus 1. All right, so the next step that we're going to take is to, again, we're going to turn it around so our x is on the left hand side. I didn't change anything. All I did was turn the equation around, and that negative 12x plus 1 is still on the larger side of the equation. And now we're going to combine our like terms. Negative 12x minus 1, we're going to add 1 to both sides, and that becomes negative 12x is greater than or equal to 144. Here's our division property of inequality. Whenever we divide by a negative number or multiply, we have to reverse the sign. So we go from greater than or equal to x is less than or equal to negative 12. Remember, a positive divided by a negative is a negative number. That's where that negative 12 comes from. So close dot on negative 12, shade it all the way over to the left. All right, and again, practicing these is the best way to get good at it. All right. So thank y'all so much for listening, and just hang in there, and thank y'all so much for joining us tonight. And have a good night. I'll talk to you in 24 hours.